We helped Chris scale his coaching business from 3K to 50K rev and 28K cash collected in the first 30 days of working together. And the best part was he didn't even send a single outbound, post content every day, or boost any posts. All right, so these are a few payments and screenshots that actually prove that, he actually hit 30K cash. You can see here 3K, 1K payments, 4K. We did 14K cash and 20K rev. This was a spreadsheet tracker that we had. And I'm going to throw up a clip of Chris actually mentioning that we helped him scale up to 30K because I know a lot of guys have false claims. And I just want to make sure that it's clear that you guys know that we actually did this. Okay.
3 days, $10,000 was already collected. And I'm like, holy shit. If it wasn't for you, I'll probably still be running around like a chicken with my head cut off. I was literally at $3,000 a month, got me all the way up to 30K. The first month working with me 100% outbound. You know what I'm saying? He's a great dude. Shout out to him.
Now, what I'll be going through in this video is this 5-step process on what we did to actually scale him up all the way up to 28K cash and 50K rev, because it wasn't easy, okay? The first step is obviously fixing the middle of the funnel, making sure that we built enough trust. The second step was just building the systems and automation. And then we built out the setting flow, we hired the right talent, and then we onboarded and managed. And soon enough, we actually hit 50K rev. And this is just the 5-step process of what the entire thing looks like. And we'll be diving deep into every single thing. And I'll kind of give you guys a quick rundown. We'll be going over the problems that we faced, talking about, the insights that you need to implement into your own coaching business, the key things that you need to do as well, and kind of just showing you what we did so you can kind of replicate the same success we did for Chris into your own coaching business so you can, actually enjoy the fruits of your labor and scale up past that 10, 20K per month mark. All right. So this video is for you if you're a coach or agency owner and you're tired of dealing with broke clients and not knowing where your next client will come from because you just don't have a consistent client acquisition system. Then in this video, you actually discover how to consistently get 10 to 20 new clients every single month, how to book warm calls with clients that are ready to buy your service, how to build a client chasing funnel so your clients come to you instead of you chasing them, and how to work smarter by implementing systems and hiring talent to do the heavy lifting for you, okay? I want you to learn from our track record of transforming over 80 different businesses just like yours on a consistent basis. And just so you guys know, we really do this. These are a few screenshots that I just took from my story highlight. We really, really do this, okay? We bring a lot of our clients that work with us to record months within the first 30 days of working together, all right? So let's go ahead and dive right in onto how Chris actually scaled from 3K to 28K. It wasn't always like this. It wasn't always 28K. So before working with us, Chris was actually stuck wearing all the hats in his business. He was doing setting, he was doing closing, he was doing fulfillment, he was doing everything. And the thing is, he tried all these strategies like a webinar funnel, like mass DM outreach. He tried AI bots and everything, but nothing seemed to work. And in the first 30 days of working together, we completely turned his business around and 9x his business. We turned it from 3K to 28K cash and 50K rev, as I said. And this is the entire step-by-step. So the first problem we faced was a lack of inbound. Chris had zero inbound, all right? He literally had zero. And so we needed to fix the middle of the funnel because if you have zero inbounds as a coach and you're posting content, that means that there's just not enough trust and you're lacking a sense of credibility and also a sense of relatability, okay? And so he had a lot of attention but no cash, and you can see here, he got a decent amount of views, and a lot of you guys' views look like this. You get around 2 to 5K views, and it's decent, and you'd assume that he gets inbounds, right? But he got none. And how I know he got none as well is because, first of all, he told me, we also did a story sequence to test the water. And we did a CTA, we posted a bunch of client results in the CTA, and zero inbounds came in. Now, there's one conclusion, and there's one reason why this entire thing led to zero inbounds. It's because he only posted tips and tricks. Now, what I need you to understand is, as a coach, if you're just posting tips and tricks every single day and every single time you post on Instagram, then what that does is it basically puts you in the category of all of these other coaches. Okay. Now, when you're put in that specific category, then these guys don't trust you because you're just another one of those coaches. And so Chris came across as just another one of those guys, even though he actually had a really good program, because he only posted tips and tricks. And so what we did was we pivoted the entire content strategy. Instead of just posting tips and tricks and little hacks and everything, those don't actually get you sales, right? They don't get you clients that were willing to pay you 3K. But the content that you need to post to get you clients that will pay you 3K is by posting content that breaks your limiting beliefs. And so what we did with Chris is we wrote down every single limiting belief that his prospect had. And so, it was things like you needed to have a bunch of capital to start up a clothing brand. You needed to invest in a bunch of inventory. We needed to, do a bunch of shipping and all that stuff. And we wrote down every single objection and every single limiting belief in our content, in our reels. Instead of just doing little hacks and little tips and tricks and all that stuff, our content was dedicated towards getting rid of those limiting beliefs and saying why those limiting beliefs are false. Okay? So Once we did that, we started seeing some inbound. And so after we actually changed up the IG strategy, we pivoted to long form. Now, Chris actually did have a few long form videos up. I'll show you right here. He got around 100 to 1K views, which was really, really decent. And so we just basically would push traffic every day towards his YouTube and his long form videos, because a 20-minute YouTube video nurtures way more than a 30-second reel. There's no way you can go around that, right? Like, no matter how good your reel is and no matter how bad your YouTube video is, a longer YouTube video will always nurture more than a short reel. And so what we did in these YouTube videos was we broke down different things. We broke down his client case studies, his different strategies to scale, and we just provided pure value. And the thing is, we actually needed to strengthen his middle funnel, because if we ran ads, he wouldn't convert anybody because he got 0 inbounds in the first place. And so if you're getting 0 inbounds, ads won't fix the problem. Getting more leads won't fix the problem. You just need to strengthen your middle funnel. And we realized early on that YouTube built way more trust in Instagram, especially for his audience. And so that's what we did. We doubled down on YouTube and we posted things like this, and it worked, right? We started getting more inbounds and we put more emphasis on YouTube. We did more storytelling on Instagram stories. So we talked about Chris's story, how he scaled up his own brand and just broke limiting beliefs with his IG Reels. And then we also offered some freebies and free training. And what happened was DMs started to be active again. People started DMing us. People started wanting the free resource, and they wanted to relate more to Chris and get to know him, and they start to respect him, right? That's the key. When you start to break their limiting beliefs and you start to show your personal side and you focus on YouTube, then that strengthens your middle funnel and then get more people coming to you instead of you just reaching out to them. So once we did all this, it allowed us to generate more sales, and it also allowed us to go to the next point, which was data tracking. Chris didn't have any trackers, data, or anything on his offer, and so what we helped him do is we helped him set up a GHL campaign to basically track all their leads, collect their numbers, and get data. Without data, it is impossible to scale, and you won't know the bottlenecks of your business and will always have to guess. I have coaches come to me all the time and they ask me, what's my bottleneck in my business? What's everything? And I ask them to look at their data, but they don't have data. And the thing is, with scaling a coaching business, you cannot just rely on your intuition and your feeling, I feel like this is wrong. I feel like I need a VSL. Because some of you guys right now, you think you need ads, you think you need XYZ, you think you need these leads. But in reality, you don't need that shit. You need to fix your middle funnel. That's what you need, right? And the reason why you think that you have this bottleneck is because you don't have data to back it off of. You don't have data to look at and see where you're actually struggling with and where the bottlenecks are. That is a problem with your entire coaching business, right? You don't know where your problems are. You kind of have to guess. You have to throw a dart in the dark. And so what we kind of did was we created a sales CRM and we collected the data on the number of conversions we had, and we calculated how many calls we were booking and everything. And so what this looked like was a GHL where we actually tracked the entire thing, the opportunity status, opportunity value, and everything, and then how many calls we were booking and all that stuff. We tracked everything. Because again, it's a data game. This whole thing is based on data. We also built out a bunch of sales tracking sheets because, again, data is key. And if you don't know where you're struggling with, then you don't know what bottleneck you have, and you always have to guess. And so we built out a bunch of sales tracking sheets. We understood his call to booking ratio, his lead to booking ratio, and everything, all those important metrics and key data points. And then we also built an appointment setting database. So what I did was I actually compiled a bunch of conversations that Chris successfully booked in or successfully closed for a sale. And, I had 10 to 20 conversations just screen recorded. And what I did was I basically took the questions that worked best and then compiled them all in a script. On top of that, we also got appointment setting databases, right? This is important because we wanted to base it off of actual data. And I'll show you down here on how we did that entire thing. And then we also had BOD and EOD form, beginning of day and end of day. You need your entire sales team to fill this out so that they actually know, so that you can actually track their progress, how many KPIs they're hitting and everything, right? So asking them what their energy level was like, how many calls they booked and everything is super, super important. I'm actually going to show you this so that you have a good understanding of what this looks like. This is what it looks like. And again, we're tracking how many times did we check the inbox, how many leads did we message, how many outreaches did we send, how many follow-ups, how many calls proposed, how many calls booked, inbound, outbound, qualified, unqualified, sets closed, convos nurtured, everything, right? And so when you put this much detail into it and you see their data every single day, you can keep them accountable, and they'll be kept accountable because they know that you'll be seeing this at the end of the day. And so it's a win-win. You get to keep track of their progress, and they work harder because they know that you're on their stuff. You're on top of everything. Okay? So that's what we did, and it ended up working out a ton because he didn't really have any systems. He didn't really track any data. So this allowed us to really just dial in the offer. And yeah, that moves us on to the third part, which is the appointment setting flow. Now, remember how I said appointment setting database? What I did was I compiled a database of Chris's most successful conversations in the past 30 days, right? Now, we got over 30 convos, and we looked at what messages sparked emotion, what type of slang he used, And we essentially built out flows for appointment setting and SOPs that the setter could follow. Now, the reason why I actually went back and compiled the list of successful conversations that Chris had was because I want the setters to use the same lingo as Chris and not come across as a setter, right? I don't think you guys understand this enough. When someone realizes that they're not talking to you, then they just stop responding. And, they just have a good way to tell whether or not it's a setter, especially for B2B offers. I know this firsthand. But for Chris, it was a bit easier, but we still wanted to use the same lingo, and we wanted to use the same slang words and all that stuff. And so we did not want to come across as a setter, and we created a specific scripts tailored to Chris' offer and his audience, all right? We leave none of it up to luck. We don't guess, okay, this question might work, this question might not work. We literally take what's already worked in the past, along with the database that we have, with our experience with other offers, and we compile the database where we create the inbound, the outbound, the post-booking, the show-up, the follow-up, freebie, everything. Now, at this point, it's so hard to fail because you setting up the scripts and the SOPs and everything for the setter, and there's no reason why you can really fail, which is why we're going to go to the fourth point, which is hiring talent. Now that we kind of have a lot of the data tracking systems, the middle of funnel is dialed in, and we have the appointment setting flow and the DM scripts and structure, this is where we're going to hire the talent. Now, Chris was not going to do the appointment setting himself. Okay, that was the lowest leverage thing you can do as a business owner. And so as soon as we could, we outsourced it. Now, because we had lead flow coming in and we fixed the bottom of funnel, then his offer was already ready for a setter. And so I hired a setter at this point for him because I ran an appointment setting agency in the past, and finding a setter was not hard at all. Usually for people in the program, I just kind of give them setters that I trust. And so I hired two actually for Chris. I hired Bhavjot and Danny. Now, these are two setters that I actually trained from the ground up that actually worked with me one-on-one. And so I had full trust in them. And then we also hired Fadi, who was a closer from a friend. I knew that trained closer, and they go through some killer closer stuff. And so that's why I trusted Fadi. And we also went through a mock role play killer, right? Fadi's a killer, Bhavjot and Danny were our setters. So basically we had two setters and one closer. Now, the key here is that all these setters actually had the right foundation. They understood setting extremely well, and they were obsessed. They were obsessed. Okay? These are the three key things that you must look for in a setter, because look, if you have to train someone up from the ground up, it's just going to take way too long. If they don't understand setting well, then you're going to have to do the little details and stuff, and you need to be obsessed because you can't teach work ethic. Okay? You can't teach it. All right? So again, these are a few characteristics that you should look for when you hire a setter. Extremely hard workers. Guys that can work 10-hour shifts, and they're just so dialed in, and they want nothing but to make the offer work and to make money. They also value skill set over money, right? They'd rather learn short term because they know it'll bring them more money in the long term, right? They believe in the vision. If they don't believe in the vision, don't bother, because they'll leave within 3 months. And they also believed in me, right? They believed in me because I was hopping on calls with them basically every other day and just dialing them in. And so these are a few characteristics that you must look for if you want to really hire a setter in your business. Now, the hardest thing to do in this entire process is actually hiring the right setter. But we actually simplify it with an appointment center marketplace for our clients. And we actually train and manage the setter for you with one-on-one calls, weekly calls, and combo reviews. A lot of business owners, they don't understand the ins and outs of hiring setters and everything. So we actually have an appointment setting hiring marketplace where we can come in and look at each of these guys. And I have my setter manager, Alex, who's an absolute killer. He's a guy that books 5 to 10 calls per day in his prime. And, whenever your setter has objections or has questions, he isn't asking you. He's asking Alex, right? And so as you can see, you need detailed conversations like this. You need to hop on calls and do role plays, but we just take care of the entire process, and that's what we do. And so if you're actually looking for someone to do this for you, then feel free to reach out to us. Scroll down below, book in a call, and we'll kind of dial you in. Because ultimately, this is probably one of the hardest parts, but we make it easy with this entire thing. And it wouldn't have been possible to achieve, 50K rev in 30 days if it wasn't for this level of detail where we actually go over each conversation and do mock role plays and everything. All right. So that's very, very important. And if you're looking for help with that, go ahead and scroll down below and book in a call. Now, once we found our setters and our closers, then we actually had to onboard and manage them, right? And this is extremely important because onboarding a setter is by far one of the most important things you'll do in your business. It is so, so important, okay? And the reason why is because it'll determine how well your setter performs straight up in the first 7 days that they're in the program, in your offer, right? And so what you need to do as a business owner is you need to give them everything they need. And so what I did was I gave Bhavjot and Danny everything they needed, from the SOPs to the scripts to the frameworks and the completed BOD and EOD every single day. We had a Slack channel with automations. Chris could check in whenever he wanted, and it was just so dialed in. And so you had this thing where we had, boom, BOD, EOD, And we were tracking everything. How many calls were they reaching out to? How many calls did they book? How many sets did they close? How many calls did they nurture? How many hours did they work? All this stuff, right? It's impossible to fail when you track this much detail. And then what I did in the onboarding phase, which was very, very important, was I asked them what their goals were, and I set it straight. I told them, look, I'm going to do everything in my power to help you achieve your goal, and I want you to do everything in your power to help me achieve mine. Okay? I'm going to do my best to help you achieve yours, and in return, I want you to work hard. I set that straight, and I knew their goal, and I did everything in my power to help them achieve it, and they were able to make decent money, right? They made 2 to 3K as a setter, and as a result, we scaled up to 30K. That simple, right? And when you actually care about your setters and you care about your sales team, it's a completely different feeling because you're not treating them as like just some employees. These guys are your family. These guys are your team. These guys are the life and soul of your business. And you have to treat them that way. You have to show that you care about their goals and their entire thing. So please do not neglect your setters' goals and your sales team's goals because that's what's going to lead to the downfall of your business. If you don't care about them, they don't care about your business. They care about them. All right? And so what I did was I, really got to know their goals and we really dialed that in. And then I also had a call with them the next day to run a 2-hour mock call with them and dial them in, right? And so I asked myself when I was doing mock calls with them, are they following the script? Did they look at the SOP? Do they understand how to do it? Do they understand the exact flows? And I had to test them on a lot of things and I asked them what do you do if it's a disqualification? What do you do if a guy has no budget? And if I didn't know what to do, then chances are they didn't look at the SOP and they just aren't a good setter. Right, so I just kind of fired them and find another person. Now, luckily with Babjot and Danny, they were killers. They studied the entire thing, and it was great, right? You need to test them because if you didn't listen to the first piece of instruction you gave them, and you don't put them in check, then you are in hell. You're in hell because they know that they got away with not listening to your first piece of instruction. So moving forward, they won't have that much respect for you and they won't listen to you as much. So it's especially important to set the tone early on in the onboarding process so that they know that, hey, this is the real deal. I can't mess up. I can't go below my KPIs. I can't do this. It's very, very important to ask yourself these questions and make them realize that, hey, this isn't a joke. This isn't your typical offer. We're very, very serious about this. All right. We also set their KPIs. We gave them 60 outbounds every single day, 100 follow-ups. And we actually told them to work 12-hour shifts and stop when the time hit 12. And so there was 24-hour appointments sending the DMs, and it's more than you could have ever done as a business owner yourself, right? Imagine having dedicated setters in your account that work 24 hours a day and send 60 outbounds and do 100 follow-ups and are in the DMs all day, right? And we're tracking their metrics. We're seeing how many calls are booked. Now, these are just calls that are booked from my more recent clients because I can't find the Slack channel. And so, yeah, the point is, you want to set KPIs, and hiring a setter allows you to just do way more work than you could have ever imagined. So it's very, very important, this entire onboarding and managing phase, to understand their goals, to set the tone straight, to give them the right KPIs, and to set them up for success. All right? Now, number 6, which is kind of the last step of this process, is the call the next day. Now, the call the next day is kind of very, very important, especially for the setters and closers you onboard. The setters, specifically, what I did was I called them the second day of them being on the offer. Now, both of them actually booked 5 calls each, and we had a total of 10 calls on the first day. Now, not all were qualified, and around half didn't have the budget. And so what I did was I analyzed each conversation, and I saw where the flaw was at. This is how much detail you have to go into. If you really want to scale your business, this type of detail will lead to exponential results. Because if I didn't fix this, then we wouldn't have made 50K. That's the truth. And I'll kind of go through it so you guys understand. But we noticed in the script that there was a specific question in particular. So we went to the script and asked a qualifying question at the start. Because Chris's audience was actually kind of broke and they didn't have a lot of money, we wanted to save our setters time. And so what we did was, instead of just saying what inspired you to reach out as a first message, we said, awesome, so where are you from and what do you do for work? And so because I tracked the data, and I knew how many people were unqualified, how many people were qualified, how many people showed up, and how many people didn't, then guess what? I didn't need to waste our setter times. And so I could adjust the script straight away and ask this qualifying question early on so we save everyone's time. And it's because that we tracked the data in the first place, right? We added a harder qualification question in the booking process, and we became extremely strict on who we let in to book on a call because we tracked the data and we knew the bottleneck straight away. We didn't have to guess. We just looked and we saw, boom. The problem is the qualification. Let's fix it. Question here, fixed because of data. Okay? And next thing you know, the setter was actually booking 5 to 10 calls per day. Now, not all were qualified. Around 20% were unqualified. That's just the nature of it. But that's just how his audience demographic was. They did not have a lot of money. And so we ended up selling a lot of 1K packages, occasional 3K packages, but we always price anchored. And so we always pitched a 3K package first, and then we pitched a 1K after. even if they didn't have the money, because their perceived value and the perceived likelihood that they'll buy the 1K is much higher because they're comparing it with the 3K, which is being the price anchor. Now, Chris also had a lot of followers and attention that were on the fence, and so we outreached to them. We gave them freebies. We were posting consistently on the stories. We nurtured them with YouTube, and it allowed a lot of these prospects to get off the fence and want to work with him. So what I need you to understand is, in your business, usually it's actually not a lead problem. It's a lack of nurturing and it's a lack of trust. Because 99% of business owners need to fully dial in their middle funnel before they even think about getting more leads. I love this analogy because it perfectly sums it up, right? You have holes in your bucket. Your business is the bucket and the water is the cash flow. You have holes. And so there's no point of you filling up your bucket before you patch the holes, because it's just going to leak everywhere. So the first thing you need to do is just fix the holes, fix the problems with your entire funnel, which is usually the middle funnel. So you do that with YouTube, you do that with email, you do that with, reels that actually break your clients' limiting beliefs, posting stories, everything. And then you eventually run ads and you pour water in the bucket once the holes are filled up, okay? So if you've been posting content for a while and you have a decent sized audience, you don't need more leads. That's the truth. You need to fix your middle of your funnel by creating a freebie, posting on YouTube, and hiring a setter. So what does a freebie look like? Something like this, where you show, a screenshot of something desirable, and if you want to learn how you can do the same, I filmed a blah, 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 DM the reward training, blah, blah, blah. Posting on YouTube, right? YouTube videos that generate sales. I need to change my thumbnail. I know that. Don't call me out for it. But YouTube videos that actually break the limiting beliefs and dive in depth onto client case studies and breakdowns and everything, right? Hiring a setter, an appointment setting hiring process and everything, where you can actually outsource appointment setting and work on more important tasks like YouTube, like freebie, like systems, like content, right? And so all of this works. Everything I showed you in this video works. And this is the step-by-step process that we followed for Chris. And you can see we do this for ourselves. We do this for our clients. Brian with AK, we do this for more clients, AK again. And Patrick literally made 18K in 2 days. It's ridiculous, right? So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I went through a lot. I went through this entire process and how we scaled up Chris. And with some of you guys want us to implement the exact same process we did for Chris into your own business. So if that is you, feel free to scroll down below and actually book in a call with me and my team. It's with me personally. If you're not ready for it, go check out my other YouTube content. It's free. It'll help you get to your first 10K per month, I guarantee, if you actually implement the systems that we teach you. All right, so I'm going to throw up a YouTube video right here, and you'll be able to check it out. It's going to be a sales funnel breaking down our entire back-end acquisition funnel and everything, and how you can implement it to your own coaching business as well. And yeah, I'll see you guys there. Peace.